Yeah. Man. This book is a lot. Um, so meditating. Um, I was like unsure about it a lot yesterday. Um, Today's reading was all about like a little bit more about like how to do that and more in depth like meditation practice, I guess. That was really good, really powerful. I'll read you the meditation first and then I'll talk about how it all went down. So, the chapter that I'm in is chapter 3 and the title of that chapter. So the meditation for today is called Self-Love. Basically, the concept is like, how can you really love people around you, without first like loving yourself and appreciating yourself and taking care of yourself, and things we've all heard before. So nothing new there. But it's always a good reminder because I think that we forget that more than anything else that we forget when we think about love. Because we think of it so often as this like selfless act, that's like transcends us as individuals. And I think that it is that, but it's also so important to love yourself. And I think that today's meditation, just like, and what Thich Nhat Hanh talks about, just kind of gives some really good in-depth insight into why that's so important. So the meditation, there was more to this, but I didn't do it. I only did the first couple of parts of it. But it is, may I be peaceful, happy, and light in spirit, in body and spirit. And then may she be peaceful, happy, and light in body and spirit. And may he be peaceful, happy, and light in body and spirit. And may they be peaceful, happy, and light in body and spirit. And as you're doing this meditation, he goes on to explain, the idea is to actually visualize yourself and then the people that you're meditating on, that you want, to feel peace and happiness and, light in body and spirit. And I started just by like trying to like calm myself and like center myself and stop thinking about all the distractions in my world. And then I just repeated it with the word, may I be peaceful, happy, and light in body and spirit, until I actually felt that and believed that, which took a while. And I started, visualizing all the things that were blocking me from feeling that. And then I started visualizing myself actually feeling those things. And it was amazing how much just focusing on that and like intentionally asking myself to do that, while being totally quiet and not distracted. It was amazing how much it worked. And I think that's kind of the idea, is like the more that we intentionally practice this, in meditation, the more we can intentionally practice it in our day, and the more that we do this in our lives, the more we'll actually feel this, and I think like one of the things I talked about before was this idea that like I get in these moods, and it's hard for me to interact with other people because I'm having trouble interacting with myself in that time. And I think the concept is that over time, that those moments will be more approachable and quicker dealt with because of like a daily practice of this. And I can say just doing it today and just being mindful of it, I it was powerful. Like it it seems like, people like try to make light of these things because I think that people joke and try to like cast off like the usefulness of these things because they're hard to do, and because admitting that they work means that we have to actually do them. Um, so, yeah, I mean, I'm sure if you're not in that place, it's going to be really hard to like just hear somebody be like, yeah, you just need to like meditate more and then I'm sure you'd be fine. Like, that's of course a bunch of BS, um, but just as somebody who's like in the place that is ready and who's like moving forward in that, I can tell you like just this small amount, just my daily routine takes like, I don't know, like an hour and 20 at the most, when I really do all the things all the time it takes. And it has completely changed the world around me. And let me give you an example of something that has changed, that just an example of like the things that are happening around me in my world outside of this experience, just so you like, and maybe I'm just being crazy, but like, so today, my wife's birthday is on the 4th, and every year before her birthday, the weekend before her birthday is Labor Day, and her family gets together at the beach, and so we're all doing that. And I was leaving early today because I wasn't feeling good, and because all the kids were sick and stuff, and I didn't really want to get that. So I was just trying to like anyhow. So I was leaving early, and we went outside, and there was this squirrel. Yes, I said squirrel. There's this baby squirrel that was outside on the front patio, and it was just kind of sitting there. They had met it the day before. A lot of, when I wasn't there, people had met the squirrel that was kind of, I think it's really young and maybe like was too young to be on its own, but it's doing okay and it's making its way. But there were people interacting with it, and it had even been caught yesterday. So I think it's a little bit confused about what humans mean in nature already. But so I'm out there and I see the squirrel, and it's sitting on the edge of this little pool, and my wife and I walk toward it, and it doesn't take off. So we're like, oh, well, let's just stare at it because it's precious. And so we're just kind of looking at this squirrel, and it starts moving around, and it's eating, and we're watching it, and we decided to get it a bowl of water, and I leaned down because it was just kind of like sitting there, and I just leaned down to kind of like gauge its emotion about me, and it started chattering, and I was like, oh, maybe it's upset. So I kind of backed away a little bit, but I was just kind of staring at it. And I remember just feeling this sense of like just how cute and precious it was. Like I just like feeling wanting to love it, just like that, like actual internal, the same stuff that I've been kind of feeling towards people in meditations every day, just being like, wow, this is like a precious like living being, and I'm really close to it, and I don't normally get to have that experience, and I'm just like all in my feelings of love for this squirrel. And it walks over to me and puts its little paws on my shoe gently, which is the only way I would have accepted it, because nature, as much as I think it's precious, scares me a lot. And I'm just like standing there like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. And then it moves away and it goes to another place. And I'm like, wow, that was crazy. And then I sit down on the concrete just to watch it. I kind of walked closer to where it was, and I sit down on the concrete, and it's out in the grass. And I'm watching it, and I'm talking to my wife and her mom, and we're just kind of like talking about the squirrel and like how amazing this is. And while I'm not looking, the squirrel runs up and climbs up onto my leg, onto my lap, and is just like sniffing me and like looking at me and actually like interacting with me. And like it touched my arm, and it was like being precious and cute. And I realized like, I don't know, maybe that would have happened no matter what, but I feel like, I mean, nothing like that's ever happened to me before. And I know that when I was sitting there and I was just like looking at it, I was so present, and I was so at peace, and like just so caught up in the feeling of like wanting this thing to be okay, and like wanting, it to feel okay and loved by the people that were standing around it, which is crazy because it's a squirrel, I know, blah blah, make fun of me, whatever. But it was amazing. And I was like, this, I feel like, is just evidence of this, this peacefulness, like actually affecting the world around me and affecting my ability to be present in these kinds of moments. Because I think part of why that might have gotten missed is that I might not have stopped to even take in that moment. So yeah, so that was amazing. Yeah, and another thing so the next part of the practice is, may I be free from anger, affliction, fear, and anxiety. And another thing that I noticed yesterday, that I'm able to analyze today because I thought about it, because this happened, because, this actually like happened and came into my life today, was that yesterday there were opportunities of loving people that I missed out on because of fear and anxiety, and being free from anger, and affliction, which is an interesting one. How do you free yourself from affliction? I have to look into what that word means, actually, completely, because I've heard it, but do I really know what it means? No, I don't. But yesterday, when I realized that there were people that were sick around me, I did what I normally do, which is I got afraid of getting sick. And for me, being sick is really terrible. Like, I'm one of those people that when I get sick, I get really sick. And I have other health conditions that getting even a minor cold can really exacerbate. So it is definitely something that I feel fear about. But there are precautions that I can take to not get those germs. And definitely, if I hadn't been in my feelings of anxiety and fear so deeply, I could have embraced my time there better. And I didn't do that. And so it was this kind of like the other side of the coin, like the other side of, what's the kinds of things that kind of keep me from being able to love. And so I got to see both of those today in my meditation, and that was just like really amazing. The other thing that happened is while I was meditating, Thich Nhat Hanh talks about actually visualizing the person that you are thinking these thoughts about. For me, that is prayer. I realize, like, I just start to pray for them, and it was what I realize is that this is helping me to be better at prayer, which is something I've always wanted to do, because I get so distracted when I pray. And I mean, it's something that I've even said in the middle of a prayer, is like, I know I'm distracted. Like, I hope that you know what my heart is better than I do, because even I can't like tap into that right now because I'm allowing myself to get distracted. Like, I have said that to God in a prayer many times because I feel that happening. So as I'm meditating and I'm just focusing on a few things, I actually have found that I'm focusing better than I, normally do when I'm quiet. And so that's awesome. But I'm also like able to like really pray for these people for these things, for peace and for freedom from anxiety. And those are things, that I pray for people anyway. And other things come up, other things get visualized as I'm thinking about them, and just saying these things. And my heart's intention toward them, it's deeper than just the words that I'm saying. And it was really cool because there was like a moment where I was just kind of like almost playing like a slideshow of all the people in my life that I really love and care about. And it was like a really wonderful moment today. And I was just thinking about a lot of wonderful people in my life, and I don't normally get to stop and do that. So it was really cool. So that is almost 17 minutes of me talking, but hopefully these things I'm learning can have some impact in your life too, if you're even watching these. All right, well, I love you, and thanks for watching, and have a good day.